Hi, my name is Aaron. I run a website called foreveranalog.net. It's a website that celebrates all things analog. You can find information there about turntable repair, audio reviews, all sorts of things, including my love of vinyl records. I've been collecting records for over 20 years now, and I thought I'd make a YouTube channel that not only has videos that helps people when they're having trouble with their gear, but also audio reviews and videos about albums from my collection that are kind of fun to talk about. I also have a Etsy store called Forever Analog. I'll put the links in the description below where we sell shirts such as this one. It says I will buy your records. Believe it or not, this shirt actually works. Wore it around during the pandemic in neighborhood walks and had a neighbor sell me a couple crates of records, great records. So, I call it my walking Craigslist ad shirt, and you can order yourself one via the Etsy link in the description below. Okay, so one of the things I want to talk about today was the time I scored a great record for like $8. The reason why I'm not exactly sure on the price is because I bought a bunch of records at once, and by the time you kind of average it out, I think I paid $80, and I can't remember if there were like 8 records in there, 10 records, so I can't exactly remember the price, but I got a great deal on a very expensive record, and I'll tell you the story about it real quick. Basically, I'd been buying records from someone on Facebook Market for a while. Every time they would post some, I would buy them. And it turned out that they had been collecting records for many years and were, just selling them off in batches. They had put some on eBay, but they weren't selling a lot on eBay, and they just figured they'd put a stack up here or there on Facebook Market and hopefully sell it there. So I started buying records from this person, and I got to know them. At the time they didn't live far from me in my neighborhood. So basically, the seller just said, "Well, send me what bands you like, and I'll go through it and see if I have those. And if I do, I'll just we'll work out a deal." So I said, "Great." And so I sent him a list and didn't really hear much back. Then one day, I remember it was a Saturday. I was out thrift shopping. Actually, I think I was leaving a Goodwill. I got a text from him, and it had like 8 to 10 records in it, and they were kind of all over the place. There's like some B-52s albums and things of that nature, and they all looked interesting. And so I asked him. I said, "Well, how much you looking for the whole lot?" And he said, "How about $80?" I said, "Great, I will head that way and be there, in a few minutes with the $80." So I drove there and bought them. The reason why I was so quick to say yes is because in the photo I saw this album, the 13th Floor Elevators. Now, honestly, my first thought was they probably have a reissue. It's probably just, I guess in my mind, I didn't want to get excited. The thought that they, for some reason, were sitting on an original copy of the psychedelic sounds of the 13th Floor Elevators, and that I could potentially buy it for, really for $80, because the other records I didn't really need. So drove there, gave him the $80, brought the records home, and looked it up. Sure enough, it's an original pressing. It's a stereo copy. It's not mono. It's still in the shrink wrap. It's really, there's a copy of the labels. It's not a near mint copy. I believe side 1, I'd probably give it a VG plus. Side 2 is probably closer to VG, but really it plays through great, and there's obviously no skips, and no pops that are really noticeable. So the idea that they were sitting on this classic record, I think, I look at it occasionally. It's one of those that, because it's been reissued, it kind of goes back and forth in terms of value and what people are selling it for. I've definitely seen it selling for $400, maybe up to $600. I think the mono copy may fetch a little bit more. And obviously, sometimes those Discogs prices, they're not necessarily skewed, but maybe somebody, paid a lot for like a sealed copy or something of that nature, but I couldn't believe that I actually found this copy sitting there. Now, people always say to me, oh, you took advantage of that person because, you underpaid knowing that you had a great record. The thing I would say in this instance is two things. One, I didn't really have any interest in selling this record. If it was going to be the original copy, I was going to be very excited to have my own. The idea that it was, I live outside of Nashville. The idea that you'd find a copy of this record, in the shrink wrap, in a small suburb outside of Nashville is crazy. The idea that I didn't pay a lot for it, is to me part of the fun of collecting, and part of the reason why I want to keep it in my collection is because I hardly paid anything for this, and it's an expensive record. And so the other point that I want to make to the taking advantage of somebody on the price, I wasn't sure if this was going to be. I was willing to take a risk that this wasn't an original pressing, and that maybe I was just overpaying for a bunch of records that had a reissue of this in there. That was the risk I was going to take. So when I got to the house and gave the gentleman his money, I didn't sit there and do this in front of him and go crazy. I think I pulled it out quickly to make sure it wasn't just unplayable. But I wasn't sitting there on Discogs looking this up to see if this was the original copy or a reissue. Just gave him the money and brought it home, and found that out later. I got to become friends with, the folks that were selling this. Him and his wife were collectors, and they told me that when they were selling their collection off, that they tried eBay, but it was just kind of a pain, and it wasn't really something they were interested in doing, and that they both knew that there would be times when they would sell someone a record that was worth a lot more than what they sold it for. But at the end of the day, they wanted to make sure that the person that was buying it really loved it and would really value it in their collection. And I think that is probably, that fits me, that I'm that guy, right? So this will be a record that I'll treasure forever. I'll always be excited to have a copy. When people are, when you get around record collectors and everybody's bragging about whatever they have, they're not really bragging, but they're bragging. They just can't help it. If I ever feel like I need to throw something in the ring, I'll tell them a story about buying this album. And most people are like, that's awesome, because I think people are just, mostly aware of just how rare and how great this album is, and how fun it would be to have it, in the collection. So now that I have a stereo copy, I guess I just have to sit around and, hit up more garage sales and Facebook markets and things of that nature, and hope to find the mono copy. But yeah, should I have gone back to them and said, oh, this was a $400 record, here's $200. That's something that, because I'm having my collection, I got to know the people well. I ended up buying a lot more records from them over time. So, I don't feel like I unfairly, swapped something out from them. I definitely overpaid for some records that they had, in order just to be able to get access to other ones, which, I think is common when you buy and resell records. And you just never know what somebody has, It's not like I was allowed to go through their collection, It's just every once in a while I'd get a text with some records and I'd be interested or I wouldn't be, So I gave them plenty of business, and they were able to get records into the hands of people, or the hands of myself who loved them. If I had copies that I didn't need and I would sell them, I know I was able to get them onto people that, love those records as well. So that's my story about the 13th Floor Elevators. Again, I'm super excited to have a copy of this record. I'll treasure it forever. The fact that I, paid a little bit for it is sort of a fun part of the story. Maybe this is maybe making these videos is a good way, for, this is dark, for my family when, if and when I'm gone, let's just say that, put it that way. And and they're going through my records and going, what is all this? And they're completely overwhelmed. To say, well, let's watch Dad's YouTube channel and make sure we don't get rid of the ones that are really rare. This is one of those. Don't get rid of this one. I definitely don't put it in a group of records to sell, right? Sell this one on its own. Buy yourself something nice, okay? Yeah, that was really kind of a dark way to do that. But anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoy this record. It's a great record. Obviously available on streaming services if you want it. I hope that you're able to find a copy in the wild someday as well. Thanks again for watching this video. It's a new channel I just started, talking about records, gear, audio reviews, all that sort of stuff. Our website's foreveranalog.net. I'll put a link in the description below. We have an Etsy store where you can buy shirts like this, and I will put that in the description below. If you have any comments, let me know, about this record. I know a lot of people love it. Would love to hear if you have a copy, and if so, where you were able to find it, and how much you paid for it. And also, again, new channel, so if you're enjoying these videos, please feel free to subscribe. Thanks.